All right, so we are back with another podcast. I'm not alone. I have my co-host, whatever, Hayden, the Eggman.
I'm like literally not alone. It's spoilers. Yonas is at my house right now. He's just in a different room. So.
It's actually kind of funny if you just like run over there and just like.
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about just like not mentioning it and be like, hey, I gotta be right back, right quick. But
it's okay.
Just cards on the table. All right, no smoke and mirrors. You guys know how all the tricks work. So
right. That's the whole point of the podcast, right? Behind the scenes. Hey, it's Yonas, the champion, the literal champion. We have no other. Is the undefeated champion, the undisputed champion of One Piece in the U.S. How you doing?
I did lose a couple games, but it does feel great to be champion.
That's fine. You can literally do this for at least a year, so yeah. you can talk it up.
God.
So
of all the people to have that, you're on the short list of people who would not get obnoxious to me. So you can test it though if you want. You can go for it.
Yeah.
The loading got old like 2 hours in.
I think it is perfectly fine. Today we have our very special guest, Yonas. If you guys didn't know, this is our moderately played podcast where we talk about a bunch of different things and have different guests within the TCG space. And again, this is no different. How about you introduce yourself, Yonas, and tell the people who you are.
Yep, I'm Yonas Abraham, Yonas OPTCG on Twitter, and I am somehow One Piece Nationals first champion. Local Arizona grinder, and I'm colloquially known as the third best Arizonan player for One Piece. So
best in the States, third in Arizona.
Nice. That's good. It's funny that Hayden every single time that he has to or can. I mean, like anytime that someone tops from Arizona, he can't help himself but to say that Arizona is the best place for TCGs.
It's so good.
All right, it sucks because you literally won it, and I have to listen to it at least for another year. It's crazy.
We've had a Dragon Ball Super runner-up champion. We've had a Digimon champion. We've had a One Piece champion.
Who's the Digimon champion?
You're calling me out. Let me know. Brett.
Yomi in the background.
He won the online one in 2021.
That makes sense.
Have you met Jared playing Dragon Ball? He's a beast.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes. I've played against him a couple times. Not that many times. We actually only played a couple times, but he is very good and also a cool person.
Yes, and also from Arizona, the best spot in the States where card game players.
The least
which was cemented when I moved here. By the way, that wasn't really cemented until I moved to the zip code.
If any of
the rap sheet is extensive.
If any of my Vegas people are watching, please step up your game. So Yonas, how long have you been playing One Piece anyway?
I started, I think it's March, around like beginning of OPO2. When I first started playing, I was so unbelievably bad. I was playing Kaido as any reference. Like at the end of OPO1, I was playing the Kaido deck, and
I won a event, I think.
That's saying something, but I did not know how to play the game, and I was honestly pretty bad at it. But the Arizona community kind of helped me grow really quickly, but I didn't want to play Kaido whatsoever. First thing I did was look at OPO2 cards, and I saw the Smoker leader, and I think I played more games of Smoker than I think of any other game or any other deck in One Piece to date.
Nice. Well, that's pretty funny. Well, what do you think actually made you good? Is there anything that you think like got you to a place where you were confident enough to like top 16 and get to the place where you are now?
There's like two main factors. I'm always like a very self-critical person. So whenever I lose games, I'm a person that kind of critically analyzes every single play I made wrong. And that kind of helped accelerate my growth. But a lot of my growth I can attribute to one particular person, Clay Hill, another Arizona local.
He's he top 30 at CardFest too, right?
Yeah, he top 32.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He taught me a lot of like One Piece fundamentals, and I've been building off of those for the past couple months. But before I even got to my first regional, I felt in a very comfortable spot, and I was able to top 8 my first one with Smoker because he was able to help me establish strategies and help me get a little more comfortable with other matchups.
I see. Okay.
So But also, I'm absurdly lucky at card games ever since I started playing. Luckiest person known to man.
You did play it now, so you did play it now. You know,
I chose
it's
the deck that gave me
it's
the best chance
yellow.
of winning because I'm so lucky.
Well, that's
Come
what I'm
on.
saying. That's what I'm saying. So like, you know, you gotta double up on the thing. Good skilled
Yeah.
player plus a little bit of luck. You know, put that together with the Nell, you got it.
Nice.
No, that's cool. Smoker is such a really cool deck in general.
How did you guys get really good at card games? Or I'm not entirely sure if you guys will say you guys are very good, but you guys are
Have you
good.
seen our comment sections?
Yeah,
Come
I
on.
know, dude.
Come
Every time I
on.
post a
Don't
deck,
you load the
come
question.
on.
Okay, when did your time chamber happen of growth? Like, when did you guys go to time chamber and get really good at card games?
So I don't know if you know this. Brian and I have known each other for like 5+ years, unfortunately. Like, just too
Yeah.
long, just very, very long.
Yeah.
And essentially, we kind of met because we both played Dragon Ball Super, now Masters, within the first 2 sets. And we're both about content creators about the same size, so we collabed a lot. But yeah, honestly, what for me was just honestly seeing just playing against people, and like in that community too, like there's like a strategy for the strategy, kind of like it is for One Piece a lot, and just collaborating, maybe not in the same scale and or speed that you were able to in the hyper time chamber that is Arizona, but like it is like you'll go into Olympus Games, there's like, oh yeah, between these 12 people there's 8 serial Luffy's. Like it's insane. It's very blinged out.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty crazy in general. I think that's one big part. Like you have to surround yourself with like better players, and eventually you'll become the better player or as good as them, right? And with card games, you know, there's a lot of variance and there's a lot of stuff that you can't really just account for, right? When it comes down to triggers or amount of cards that you may draw that have counter power in this game or another, right? And you have to level the playing field where it is just 2 players who are at the same skill level, and you know what exactly is going to happen, and you just have to fight through it basically. And you kind of, at least in my opinion, when I was in the hyperbolic time chamber, you know, preparing for a regional back then when I was actually somewhat competitive, you know, it just came down to that, like just being able to practice, understanding the matchups, and having that feel of, wow, okay, this guy is pretty good. I have to make sure that I don't fuck up, right? And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and kind of just to say what you said too is like you just analyze why you lose. And when I know you guys do it, and this is present for me, whenever I saw like there was a big decision point, say like pause, this is the state of the game. All right, this is the decision I'm making. All right, and then let's be able to go back and make the other decision, see what the difference is between. I think that's something that being able to analyze like why you lost, or in which situations you could win, and just kind of be able to calculate that. And I'm sure you've all through Cardfest, you're probably in the sense where like most situations you've already seen and you kind of knew how it was. I know you grind and play a lot, right?
I played an unholy amount for this event. It was uncomfortable.
You played a 4 holy amount, I believe, actually.
Oh, true. I thought the translation was Holly. So
yeah,
you know, maybe
it's holy.
Let me get this one. All right, just the first one's free.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but a lot of my games kind of felt like I was playing chess, where it's like not really about making adaptive decisions. It was just like, oh, I've seen this board before. This is what I'm supposed to do. Just because of the like pure volume I played. I've gotten pretty good at just like adaptive mid-game play, where you're just like, oh, let's just try to figure out the best play on this individual scenario. But I think just like saving brain power for an event that long, by just like seeing this game so many times that you just know what to do on the spot, can help your stamina when you're playing for like 10+ hours in a given day.
Yeah, I think that's a big part. Like, I think this goes with like casting. I talk to people because now, like before, I played a lot. Like I played pretty much every single day when it came to like most card games. So if I was playing Dragon Ball at the time, I was playing Dragon Ball almost every single day. Same thing for Digimon when it first came out. Same thing for One Piece when it first came out. Right nowadays, not really. I just have a lot of work to do, and I think nowadays is also casting. Right, when people aren't like super experienced with casting, like after like the 5th hour, they kind of deteriorate, right?
Yeah, they don't where they're supposed to be on that they're hypest, right? And
yes.
then they blow out a little bit.
And I think stamina for that, and as well as card games, are kind of the same, right? If you're not used to playing that much or having that brain power go off that long, you just have to kind of build it. Do you think that practice is the only way to do that?
I think practice is the main way to do it, but I think less so about practice and more so about like the rigor at which you're practicing. Because I think just like 2 hours of very intense like gameplay and critical analysis can matter a lot more than just like 6-7 hours just jamming games with your friend.
Sure.
Just in terms of building that mental like fortitude, basically.
Okay.
I think that's the main reason why did so well in the finals, in particularly. I've been playing card games like competitively for like over 10 years. So like I've been very comfortable with just like getting to a tournament at like 9 in the morning and just staying until 6 and just not really getting a break. And I know that Jackson's kind of relatively new to the card game world. I know he's played, I think, Digimon for a while.
Yeah, for sure.
But 10 years of just doing that nonstop kind of makes it natural.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, well, let's go to that. What are kind of like, when did card games start for you, right? Because you're known for One Piece, but you've been, as you said, 10 years. What really started your kind of journey into card games, and what kept you on your path?
Okay, I fell in love with Magic the Gathering in like sophomore year of high school.
Okay,
that might be dating me a little bit, but yeah.
No, that's okay. Because last podcast we were like, high school is what we say Yu-Gi-Oh, and then college is Magic. So
you're like half a generation down. You're good.
You're ahead of everyone technically. So
I am barely ahead. But I also did not have much money to play card games, so I was just trying to play as competitively as possible with like basically no budget, and that kind of developed my competitive mindset in terms of just like I need to win every local so I can just build a better deck. And ever since then, it was just kind of smooth sailing from there. I'm the kind of person to memorize like every card in a game, and it's not that bad when you're playing One Piece and there's 5 sets. But when there's like 30 years of Magic history that I have to memorize,
I couldn't do it.
It gets absurd.
Yeah, and they at least have rotation. Yu-Gi-Oh's got like 10,000 plus cards that are ready to play. You got to know they'll bring a card back from 2007 that meets the weird condition that's relevant in 2024. Like
they got like a 10-page ban list, so there's an upside to it. They at least most of them are banned.
That's like less than 1% of the available cards, I'm sure.
All right, well, you got that right, actually.
I can't tell if a game like Yu-Gi-Oh is like a brewer's like paradise or nightmare, because like the pool is so massive, you get to do a bunch of fun things, but also the pool's so massive it's impossible to get started. So
I have a feeling that like, I don't know, I always reference it back to Dragon Ball. We're in the 25th, 26th set at this point, and it feels like it feels the same way. Where is this a brewer's nightmare or paradise, in which like, do I just build something super old and see if that kind of come back, or just keep building a new thing, and find the right build, an optimal build? But I think it's more of a, as the new stuff comes out, it just slowly power creeps it out. And I don't know if that's how Yu-Gi-Oh is. So hopefully someone in the comments can let us know.
Yeah,
we'll find out.
But yeah, for you, Jonas, would you say on that kind of scale, are you more of like someone to brew a new deck, or are you like someone just to perfect it? Like, do you like someone saying, hey, this is the best deck, and you're like, perfect, I'm going to be the best one with it? Or do you want to develop the deck?
I want to break the format. I love building the new deck.
Okay, cool.
It's one of the downsides of playing One Piece, to be honest. The fact that we kind of have this lagged format where we kind of are given the decks from the Asian players makes me feel like I'm missing a part of the game that would be super fun.
Yeah.
But the tuning and the refining has also been super awesome. I think I've made a lot of kind of relatively innovative deck building decisions over the past couple sets.
You already know we're gonna have a comment or somebody asking why you don't play Thunderbolt. So you can address that right now if you'd like.
Playing Thunderbolt's so bad.
That's it. That's all you need to say.
Let's clip it. All right. Awesome. Title of the podcast.
No, you don't have to, because I saw your Twitter profile. It said first place, One Piece TCG, and a national champ. Yeah, that's all I need to read.
Yeah.
That's all I need to read. I'm sorry. You don't need to say anything else, man.
At the very end, it also says top 5 luckiest people of all time.
Okay. So, you might need to elaborate then. I don't know.
Yeah. So I played Thunderbolt like a fair amount. I was playing 4 when I first started. And whenever you draw that card, let alone in multiples, you feel like you're going to lose. It's just like we're praying for Shirahoshi to get rid of this card in any way, shape, or form. or I'm just gonna like have all of my characters die because my opponent's attacking 7 at my 5k and I can't defend it when I have like 5 cards in hand. And when you're playing against a bunch of like decks like Purple Luffy or even like Zora or other kind of decks trying to like be aggro on you, every counter matters so much. So it does suck you can't like Thunderbolt out of life your opponent's Magellan or their queen or their kid, because that really matters in that matchup. But if you're lucky, you're lucky. But I'd rather just try to get lucky on the points that matter, which is like when they have to go for game rather than some random middling point in the game.
Gotcha.
Sure. Okay.
Gotcha. And just quick, I think both Brian and I are on the same page that our least favorite thing about One Piece is that we kind of already know what the format looks like. It makes it easy to be a content creator at times if you're like, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be good still. But I think that's like the one. If either one, we get caught up with Asia, which I know Digimon's trying to accomplish this year, or 2, if we just have unique ban lists, which we don't know. We're getting one in a week or so, or at least announcement of a ban list at Cardfest finals. So, but yeah, I think my favorite format was that November one that we had, where it was just that
it was the white bear ban.
Yeah, just the discovery period of it, and I agree that kind of stuff is
that was a
yeah.
sick format. I really like that format.
It could just be dog, but like we don't know that yet, so it's the best format.
Did you ever delve into anything else, like any other Bandai card games? Or what are your
I have not. I think I've played maybe 2 games of the Masters Dragon Ball game.
Oh, okay. Well, you probably
could not figure out counter windows for my life.
Oh,
that's a 2-hour span of your life, right?
Yeah, I was like, you might want to play like 98 more to actually get a good opinion on it.
So. The nuance, yeah.
But
but other than that, I haven't really played many other card games in general. I think I've played like a dozen Pokemon games, never other Bandai games though. So gotcha. I want to explore some more. This Dragon Ball Fusion World game looks pretty fun. I need to read my cards because I wasn't doing it when I played a game against Hayden. So
yeah, we had there were a couple of your turns and stuff. But yeah, I think that's and that's one of my favorite things is that we're going to get the same. I mean, we literally do have the same cards worldwide for all that. So
and a digital client.
And the original Dragon Ball Super card game was not printed in Japan. It was everywhere but Japan. So like there wasn't like that cultural difference or like it was like us in Europe, right? Those are in Latin America, but like now this is more of a worldwide card game. I'm sure I'll wake up at like 7 a.m. be like, oh, this guy in Japan made this broken whatever deck. We gotta try it. Like that kind of stuff. I think it's gonna be really fun and cool.
I think it's also well. The thing is that like for a while at least, we as master players and just like people from the U.S. or other people who had masters are never gonna trust Japan. That is the consensus of the community right now, at least from what I've seen. As in, like, okay, yeah, sure, he went 4-0 with this. But
do you want to bring up the tier list that's been floating around?
Oh yeah. They posted their own tier list, right? It was like on the official.
I don't, and for what it's worth, I don't know if this is like some schmojo who just made it and it hit the Twitter algorithm really hard or not, or this is a moderate consensus of people who are playing in there. But I remember seeing it on the American group, like, what are they doing over there? Like, why?
Honestly,
why is
I need a TLDR of this tier list? Is Broly tier 1?
It is.
It is tier 1, yeah.
Yeah. Which we all know that game's really good in that format. I know we're dating this episode, but we'll see. Like, yeah, imagine like when the full release happens this week, it's just like, oh, red's the best color, clearly, and we're just messing around. But yeah, I think they're making Fusion World to try to appease a lot of people, and the fact that it has Dragon Ball in its name has already appealed for both Brian and I. So we're kind of stuck.
And so far, it's been pretty fun. So, it's not like boring or anything else like that. I've said it before that it takes all the good things from Masters and shoves it into this new card game. And I don't know what was your opinion? I didn't catch that, Yonas, so far, at least from the short time.
The game is a blast. I think there's a lot of interesting gameplay and a lot of deck building that it's really fun as of now. That Pilaf card is broken.
Yeah, they need to ban that.
Yeah.
Well, it's still fair and balanced. Don't worry. But I want to try to deck build in that format. I don't have as much like experience with this game as most Dragon Ball Masters players. But I'm gonna jump in swinging.
Well, I've got just the deck builder for you. If you go to a little website called deckbuilder.eggmanevents.com, you will find all the cards, just anything you need. Highly recommend it.
I don't know.
Casual plug. Can we get that link in the description below,
it's
please?
already in there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I am sure of it.
I'd almost say put it on the screen, but I don't want to give Brian more work. So
yeah, it's just not gonna happen. Here
No.
is the tier list. Let me get over there. So they said that Broly is SS tier. It's not even S tier. It is SS tier. And let's see. We have Ginyu. Yeah, I was like, is that Ginyu? Yeah, that is actually Ginyu.
That is Ginyu.
Android 17 and 18, Gohan, and as well as Frieza as the top decks, which yeah, I don't know about Ginyu. Ginyu's supposed to lose to Red, but Red's below Ginyu, so I don't know, man.
Yeah. I know Ginyu loses to Broly because it's a 25k base and it does like 720k swings, which means nothing. So
well, it also loses to Red because of both Tamo or
Frost. Yeah. But not everyone's playing Frost, but
yeah. But
I think people are sleeping on Cooler though. Cooler's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites in this format.
Shout out to Kevin. He was talking to me all about it and how he was like, if you just swing 40k 3 times in a row, they lose. And I was like,
that's true.
Cool, man. Very nice. But yeah, very cool. I know you're not gonna know too much about this, Jonas, since you just.
I'm on the world's mindset right now. There's not much that can distract me from it.
Yeah, but very interesting. Happy to hear that you like it at least in general.
Yep. Do you have any decks for me to get started with, Brian?
Oh, I don't know. It just depends on what your playstyle is, I suppose.
He likes winning, so probably Broly.
Yeah, anything green. So if you like green, yeah, Broly is pretty good. I personally like 17 and 18. It's just more of a high roll deck because of the Juro. But I think like Broly is just like the safer route if you want to play green. Let's just put it.
I refuse to play the Whitebeard deck in One Piece like the entire time. So I refuse to play a leader bigger than average. So
okay, Gohan or Android 18, 17 is gonna be great for you. Though.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah,
yeah. I think the biggest thing is that in that card game, every deck's kind of like purple yellow croc because you get to do stuff on your opponent's turn. You make these decisions, which is pretty fun. I like the idea of that.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I was just trying to think like other card games and things like that. There's so many card games in general. You know,
in 10 years, and so you're saying for the last 8 of 10. I mean, do you even still play Magic? Do you keep up with it, or is One Piece?
I had to drop it completely. Okay. After my first regional, I made more playing One Piece than I did playing 10 years of Magic. I realized that like I have to say goodbye.
That is fair. That is fair. Yeah, I think Magic is just too much in general. Same thing for Yu-Gi-Oh! But Pokemon, you can probably play casually because it is a pretty relatively casual game.
And it's pretty cheap too. You can build the best deck for like under $50 most times. I've heard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say like hobbies in general. Do they ever relate to card games? Like any?
I'm a board game fanatic. Okay. I will play anyone in Catan any day of my life. I love that game so much.
Which game?
Settlers of Catan.
Never played it.
Oh, really?
I don't think we ever played it.
All right. Okay. Sidetrack. We're gonna boot up Tabletop Simulator right now. This is now
alrighty. Sounds like
Settlers of Catan. Let's play.
Brian... I see it. Oh, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
Doesn't this like take forever?
No, it's
sure?
it's like nerdier Monopoly. It can if you're really like if it depends on your group of friends if they're really curmudgeon-y.
Like I imagine like card games can take the full hour or whatever time allotment is, but like if everyone plays in a reasonable pace, it takes like a third of the time.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with Catan. If everyone's just like not really paying attention and taking
I would argue that whenever someone thinks of a nerdy board game, I mean, okay, board games are inherently nerdy, but that is like the board game that most people are. It is hit mainstream success as a word that's that people know as a board game.
I don't know about
outside of checkers.
I don't know about
You've got to try it.
It got numbers on it. It has pieces, dices. It has.
You got to build roads, but don't make a road longer than mine. You can get some sheep, some wheat.
This looks like
build an army.
Looks like
You're not even using the Knights and City expansion. That's where the real money is.
That one is a fun expansion.
It's the best one. I'm really not that generic, but that one, if you could only get one expansion, that's the one you get in my mind.
What am I looking at?
Oh my, Brian, you need to try this at least.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
At?
Why? How am I finding out that you've not played that game?
I've never played.
And you're 30. Oh my god. Okay, next time you're around, I'll make sure you come to Arizona. We'll bring Yonas over.
Yeah. You want to bring it? I can bring it to Japan with me if we really need to.
Oh man, look at that.
No, I mean,
This is necessary. Oh my god, it's like not crazy. Playing checkers in your life. Like
this looks crazy. This is crazy. I think it's time for our sponsor. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
That's fair.
You want to hit us up? No, that's hilarious. I've never played this. It looks complicated, but I'm sure it's fun.
Okay. But yeah, I played like almost every board game. If you've heard of it, I've probably played it. I'm one of the fiends that like loves to play Monopoly, even though that everyone else hates it. So, the list is extensive.
Hate, right? Like, you only
I know
hate it when
plenty of people that abhor that
when you're
game.
losing.
They'd rather do anything than play it.
That's fair. That's fair. Maybe they just...
I feel like it's always setting up Monopoly is the more fun. You're like, oh, I've got money. I've got this silver thimble. Everything's good. And then like two tax things come in. You're like, I hate this game. This is crap. Why are we playing this?
You got a railroad and $10 to your name. So just 30 minutes later, it's not great.
Yeah.
Man, that's a big bummer. Well, all right, that's great.
Do you ever play any like the deck building card games? Like Carsicone is not Carsicone. What's the other one? Like you buy pieces, you like buy gold pieces in estates. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Which one?
I'm just gonna type in deck building card games. It
Oh.
sounds like Carsicone.
Yeah,
but it's not. There's Doomlings. I know you.
Dominion's a classic one.
Dominion, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, that one's a really fun one.
Yeah,
I used to love
Dominion.
playing that game. I haven't played it in a few years though.
Yeah, that one's really really good.
Dominion, you said?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, you like buy resources and you buy pieces and then you try to get victory points. It's not too bad. It's pretty good.
It's actually quite a fun game. It reminds me of like Flesh and Blood in a weird way.
Did you? How much Flesh and Blood have you played then?
I have played one draft and that is it.
Okay. I'm trying to think what other card games. There's like the Andrew Garfield's Magic Offshoot that you get like the pre-made deck. Keyforge, yeah.
Yeah, I've tried that like maybe like 5 games. I think I've like dabbled in everything.
Okay.
But I've never like ventured deep, mostly just because I kind of commit to one card game at a time. It's just like a focus thing. I feel like I play different card games very differently at like a strategic level. I don't like mixing it up too much.
Yeah.
But
that's a very fancy lazy Susan for Dominion.
Ooh, actually, it's an amazing board for Dominion.
Yeah, that looks great.
Okay, guys. Let me just switch back.
Are you not a board game guy?
I like board games. I like board games when it's introduced to me. You know,
sure.
Obviously, you know, me and Hayden, we play, and obviously Yomi in the back. I don't know if she's still listening, but Doom Links is very fun.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, like Exploding Kittens, is that a board game? I guess.
Right? Yeah, sure.
I'd count it. Yeah,
sure.
That's fine. Uno, is that a board game? Or,
So I usually play that game in tandem with alcohol. So like.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
That makes games more fun.
Right, sure. Right. I'm just trying to think of like any of the board games that I might play, but I really can't.
Right.
I like when the people bring them to me. Let's put it that way.
That makes sense. You don't want to be the only person bringing something to a game.
Exactly. What's that one board game that's like Mafia, but it's not?
Werewolf. One Night Werewolf.
Oh, it's One Night.
Oh, Werewolf is pretty fun.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. That's pretty fun. Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't really have that many. It's not in my repertoire. It's not.
We need to expand your.
Yeah. Your growth is stunted in that space. You got to keep it.
That's fine.
Keep it. I don't know. I played a lot growing up. But you know, my he told me the other day, he's like, man, I'm just so tired of learning new guys. If someone tried to introduce chess to me for the first time, I don't know if I could take it. I don't know if I could get interested in it. It's just like I just know so many games. I'm fatigued. I can't. There's no space for any.
That's fair. That's how I feel about card games sometimes. You know, trying to keep up with now 3. technically. It's a whole thing. I don't know. I mean, board games though, you can kind of come back to them, right? You don't have to like commit to a board game. There is no regional for a board game, right? That we know of. Not
Well,
Warhammer.
Gen Con. Okay, Gen Con for sure. Oh, you know, have I told you this is a really tangential? Like, I was walking around Gen Con and they had some really, like a really big Settlers of Catan tournament, like a really, really big one.
I should have dropped.
Yeah.
I
And I can't remember. I think it was Warren. I think I was talking to Warren about this because he's like, yeah, everyone, whether it be card gamers or board gamers, they're all the same. Because he's walking through the area and there's this guy and he's just like, oh man, if I draw sheep one more goddamn time, I'm gonna just like,
I think I remember that.
Yeah,
I think
he's just like,
that was stupid.
yeah,
That was
like,
so dumb.
yeah, these are just bad bits. Like, why am I so unlucky, right? Like, just like the same, like I could replace the keywords with Dragon Ball Super One Piece keywords and be like, I've heard this conversation 100 times before. It was really funny.
Here I was trying to switch hobbies.
Yeah.
Let's go stay in card games, I guess.
Yeah, these bad beats.
Yeah. I will. How about you guys get a board game list for me, and then I'll check them out.
I'm sure there's already one in chat. I'm sure you're already being blamed for never playing Catan.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We gotta get like a poll or something. I wish there was like comment polls that we can do, and or we
that's
can,
weird that there isn't. I guess we can make like a community post and be like,
yeah, do like a community post and like link the podcast, and then they can flame me or not. That'd be great.
That makes sense. All right, sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Dunk on Brian, yes or no? Yes.
So good. It's so good. Never mind. I'm gonna close all these tabs.
You've gone down the rabbit hole. So
yes.
I think we've kind of just, you know, it seems like you brushed with a lot of other card games. You really couldn't find one that was better than Magic until One Piece. It seemed better for you, necessarily not better, but
yeah.
Was there anything really close between these two, or has it just been Magic?
Not even close.
Okay,
it might have just been like a sunk cost because I was just so deep into Magic, but nothing really like sparked my interest until One Piece. One, because the gameplay is just phenomenal. I think it's one of the best parts about the game, but also just the IP. Like I grew up with watching One Piece the entire time, so that in combination was probably just like, I gotta do this.
Yeah, and who turned you on to, like, just did you see that I like One Piece and they have a card game, you gotta try it, or was there any other?
No, just another guy at my locals, Jim Dudek, brought it to a Magic tournament after I went like 0-2. And he was like, "Yeah, play me in this game," and I just got hooked immediately. So
nice.
You're like, I got nothing better to do then.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
I feel like that's where a lot of people just like randomly learn card games. You're just like in a major event, someone brought a different card game with them, and you end up just playing for a couple hours.
Yeah, which reminds me of another, like, I know One Piece was pretty hot for the first half of 20. Like, it's still hot. Don't get me wrong, but I explicitly remember, and what was it, like there was a Yu-Gi-Oh regionals or something and they were doing like pan shots around the room.
Oh yeah.
And then like the broadcast company did not recognize that they were not playing Yu-Gi-Oh. And they're like, look, they're playing card games.
That was tough.
That was tough. I remember that
on Twitter. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, that made the rounds. I was like, that's pretty funny. It was going around.
You guys are chronic card game jumpers, right? You guys have played like plenty of card games throughout.
We more or less sold to Bandai, right? At least I have, right?
Well, I would say I'm a Bandai card game enjoyer, apart from UVS. Working for them, but I've tried a lot of different card games at this point. And you know, nowadays, if someone has another card game, I'm open to play it. I don't remember the last time I tried one, and I was like, this is not really it. Oh, we did play. What was it? Oh, Shadowverse. Shadowverse was fun.
Yeah.
When I was in Arizona, I was playing that, and then I played it again here. That was cool, but
I haven't followed that. I don't think it really took off competitively wise or something, because I don't see people talk about it a lot. But
I think what happened was that like the people who played online switched to the TCG and played it for a while, but I haven't really seen too much as far as like events and like like giving them reasons to play the physical card game. But
yeah, because that makes a break. Because I mean, like we're in February of 2024, and what's Lorcana, which came out during Gen Con, pretty much right 6 months ago. They're saying, oh, we have plans. Like set 3 is about to drop, right? Like
yeah,
and if it hasn't already, and they're still
it's this month. I think it's this month or next month. It's one of those.
Yeah, they're still trying to figure out, which is a little bit wild to me. That's the case, but
I just don't think they care.
I mean, they've made their money, right? Like I think everyone's confirmed that, so it doesn't need to be a thing. But
it's like it only costs money to do events. They will probably lose money by doing events. Actually, fair. I could be wrong.
Is there any amount of money that make you want to play that game, like organized play, or not really? Like if they offered like a 6-figure grand prize for like a big tournament, are you in?
It'd probably be like it'd probably have to be structured like One Piece, because like One Piece right now is like a moneymaker for a lot of people because of, you know, top 16 prizing and obviously first place for a lot of stuff. But
yeah,
it had to be that.
I gotta say, like it's very bizarre. One, like I know, like Yu-Gi-Oh prizing, like regional prizing, there's like 1,000 people and you're fighting for deck boxes. That doesn't really make sense to me. Like how that, but they have the prestige, they don't need it. And then also, you know, I would argue, I've not done the math. I would argue that because BSS was, they put $1 million this year into hard cash for this event. I'm going to assume people made more money off of selling prize cards from One Piece, over $1 million from all the events that they've run, like are pretty dang close, right? Like approaching
it's up there. It's 100% up there, because like what the Luffy's were all 5K easy,
5-10K, yeah, and there were like 1,000 of those, right?
1,000 of those. There's 2 to 3 events every 2 months or so.
Yeah,
do the math on that. That's
the Kaidos are pretty pricey, and
the money so far. I'm an anomaly, obviously, but the money's been absurd so far.
Yes,
like at least
for context.
Go ahead. Well, compared to any other card game when we talk, when we really think about it, sure.
So before even Nats, I was keeping like a running tally of how much money I've made selling cards, and before Nats even happened, I was up $30,000 as of March,
which is crazy when you think about it.
Which is like insane.
Yeah, like that's just like for any hobby, you're supposed to be losing money. Like
traveling to like Florida or just like Peoria or wherever I need to go for an event all the time, and it's still very profitable for me to go.
Yeah.
And sometimes participation ends up paying for my trip. I remember going to Florida, not doing well, but I opened a Dawn that was worth like $90, and like I traded my participation promo for an extra $50, and I did a side event, and all of a sudden I'm up for the weekend. It's just like
I will say, I always think of like, okay, who's paying for this though?
That's a good question.
We have like 500 people every event.
Yeah, there's someone's the whale, right? Who's the One Piece whale, right? Someone is investing in everyone else's futures. That's for sure.
It's like, are we just like funding each other's pricing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But Nats was like on a different scale. There's only so many winners, but like I have not sold my winner Kaido. I recently got it graded and got a gold 10, which was super awesome.
Yeah.
From BGS. But I've not sold that, and I still have my 3 of my 4 finalist promos, and I'm still up 6 figures from that event.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
since you're saying stuff like that, let's talk about Carfest.
Yeah, let's just do the.
Yeah, let's go back to the actual tournament. Yeah,
let's talk about Carfest then. One of the questions I did ask or wanted to ask when we were talking about like other card, or I guess just like regionals and One Piece in general. So we are now Yonas.
Yonas.
Yes, me and Hayden. Well, I guess you too. But me and Hayden are now Yonas. What do we do to prepare for Nats? Like what is
I'm a Yonas. I don't need to be prepared. I'm set.
I guess so. What is the
I'll be me. What does Eggman need? All right, I'll go back to me.
Okay.
We are Eggman. We're trying to figure out how to win Nats.
Yeah. Okay, that's the highest difficulty, right?
Wow.
That's you have to beat the game the first time to unlock this difficulty.
Right.
So with this card game, especially since the fact it's a lagged format, you can't really win with rogue decks. Like the metagame has been like so like explored that like you can't really expect to win with like something super like offbeat. The main way to get an edge is with different strategies in different matchups. that like people haven't really tried much. So when I chose to play NL, I was thinking about playing Sakazuki, for example. I was thinking the Sakazuki deck's great against everything. I can beat Purple Luffy a lot of the time. The NL matchup's close, but like you're pretty favored, I believe. And the mirror, unfortunately, you're 50-50.
Yeah.
I was for the longest time I was trying to figure out a strategy to help to win the mirror, and in my opinion, nothing worked. So I'm not going to try to win an event by winning a bunch of coin flips. If I just get paired against a bunch of Saka, I just need to get lucky like every single time, which was not really where I wanted to be.
Yeah,
so at that point, I'm just trying to figure out, okay, I'm gonna play a different deck, and if I do play a different deck, how do I win the unfavored matchups with like different ways that kind of mess things up for my opponent, or just like get lucky half the time. And I ended up with a Nell because you're very like you're unbelievably favored against everything rogue, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If your opponent brings like red ace to the tournament, like the game's over. Or if your opponent brings like any Doflamingo deck, the tournament's basically over. The purple Luffy matchup still heinous, but it's like playable, especially when you play the more counters, the better. And with Sakazuki, I think like the main kind of quote unquote innovation was just playing 4 Russia now. And just like trying to be like the most aggro deck you possibly can, which is just like 7k swings all the time. So that was my strategy. And everything else was just trying to get comfortable with like your opponent's choke points, which turns out very awkward for them, and just kind of refining my gameplay and seeing if there was anything else that made me even better against Sakazuki. And it ended up being pretty well.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Or understanding your matchups, understanding what you can change within the deck, and then obviously the practice and playtesting.
The practice is I love just like grinding games, but I can understand that no one wants to play like 5-6 hours a day, like 4 to 5 days a week, just like because it gets pretty tedious.
Yeah,
but it's kind of how you get comfortable, especially in a format where there's only one North American event, I think, or maybe 2 before the actual Nats tournament. So a lot of the testing is going to be in-house instead of like doing things online.
Yeah, because I feel like for the entire month of January, it could be any hour of the day. I could look in the lab Discord. There are at least 2 people on a voice call playing games. Like, shout out to the lab, but you guys, I know you all grind like maliciously on doing games and stuff.
It's the best part of the deck.
Yeah,
we grind like absurd amounts, and a lot of it is just like practicing games, but a lot of it's like also just conversations about theory. I think that's the main way to get really good at the game, is just having conversations with like players of comparable skill level about like how you're approaching matchups, these critical decision points, and why you thought they were right, and having like actual open discussions about them can help kind of accelerate your gameplay a lot faster than you'd expect.
Yeah, because I've seen some people who are just like spice goblins, and it's not as much for this game, but they're like, this is my special build. I got to keep it secret. I got to keep it safe. No one's on the spice. But you just have like these blind spots, I feel like, that happen. Or I even just talk to people at locals, and they say this is the best thing to do, and then like you like play a couple games, and you're like, what's going on? Like and these different viewpoints and stuff. I think it's really just a community win, like for a lot of that kind of stuff.
100%. I quote unquote converted a lot of people in Arizona to play NL. There's not a Church of Yonas, which is NL.
All hell. So when you talking about playtesting, all right, it doesn't have to be for this, but if you want to talk specifically about it, that's fine too. Do you plan that out, or do you just like hop on and be like, all right, let's do it?
I mostly just like hop on, but I always have like an ultimate plan, which I'm trying to jump in. Like if I want to test a particular matchup, I ask my opponent to kind of play that. Just because like I want to focus on one particular part of play. But if I don't really have any particular target, I just like play against anyone, whatever they want to play. And I kind of either establish or use my established strategy against them, or just like come up with some random strategy on the fly and see if it works well or not. I play a lot of quote unquote troll games, where I just play games very unconventionally and see how well they play out. Just because you got to explore different strategies every once in a while. Sometimes you'll just get hammered because the strategy's bad, but every once in a while you find some gem.
Yeah, the 1 in 10. Yeah, you're like, wait a minute, is this real? Am I allowed to do this? And like, yeah, I agree. And yeah, again, like in One Piece, there's not as much of that discovery phase, but the small times we do get it, they're very special.
Totally agree. All right, well, what about Swiss?
Ooh.
How did Swiss? Did you feel like you had like a lot of close spots, or did you kind of?
So Swiss felt very, very comfortable.
Mm.
I don't think I played anything aside from the big three decks, which were Anel, Purple Luffy, and Sakazuki. The one Purple Luffy match I played, which was not like, it's not a great matchup, and I ended up hitting one pivotal trigger, like a random Sanji, like near the end of the game, which kind of like cinched the game for me, which was like super awesome. But all the other games against Anel, I did not lose, and they were not close. All the Sakazuki games, aside from one, felt pretty good. I played a bunch of like relatively notable players, like Impact, Josh Graham, one of like the best players in North America. Kevin Zhao, I think he's first on Limitless. So I got some pretty good games, and I kind of got them off guard because my deck was a tad bit unconventional compared to the default. And that kind of ended up being pretty good for me. And the X and 1 lost to one Sakazuki, just because you don't draw Yamato every game, right? So,
yeah, thankfully.
So yeah.
yeah.
As an NL player, thankfully.
So yeah, I ended up losing one game, but Swiss was like 5 Sakazukis, like 2 to 3 NLs, and 1 Purple Luffy. So it was like something I was very prepared for, and I played Sakazuki way too much. So I know the matchup in and out.
It was kind of like a requirement too. Like,
yeah,
I made a very controversial video stated Sakazuki is a problem, and the first line within the video is, "It's a problem for you because you have to play it against it."
Yeah.
And then I went through like the matchup stuff and my opinions on Nationals. That I think that made some people mad, but I think you're 100% right. You have to play against it a lot, and it looks like it paid off. What was Top Cut? Was it kind of the same thing?
Top Cut, Top 64 was another Sakazuki, kind of the same. 32 was the same. And then top 16 and top 8 were both Enel mirrors. But my opponents were also playing the slightly or a different build. They were playing like the Big Mom version, where they play like the puddings and they find ways to search their 7-drop moms and their 8-drop katas. Just in hindsight, like just for a disclaimer, the Enel mirror is all about top end. So anything you draw that's bigger than a 7 cost is usually going to be played, and everything else is kind of irrelevant, which is kind of funny. And they have a searcher for their top end with the 7 mom and the 8-drop. But the 7-drop Enel is like surprisingly good because it kind of breaks the whole dynamic, because 7K rush, like unkillable, is like very obnoxious. And I also drew like more top end than my opponent still somehow. I think when your opponent draws a bunch of puddings and you still draw more categories than them, I think you're kind of high rolling, and it's gonna be a good day for you.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. It's it's super interesting because I mean, I would imagine that like if you do draw into a bunch of 7-drops, like I think in the mirror, right, there's only like 1 or 2 ways to get rid of it. So like if they just waste that one way, it's a wrap. So yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, yellow's not great at removing stuff in the first place, so double removal on a 7 cost on the same turn is very tough.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts about the Enel mirror is the katakuri chain. Because the easiest way to deal with your opponent's katakuri is your own katakuri. So what ends up happening in a lot of games, if you both draw a lot of top end, is you just keep katakuring your opponent. And I played games where I had 3 katakuris in my life, and my opponent had 4. It just happens.
Jesus, that's pretty good though. It's pretty good.
It's a beautiful game for sure.
How was what I would really want to know? I was there. I was running around and stuff like that. But how was going from like top 4 to the big stage, right? Where everyone was just watching. You had to get set up, the backstage with Bandai and all the other TOs and stuff like that was getting you prepared. How was that experience?
To be completely honest, it was just a blur. After winning my top 4 game against Zoro, I was just like super ecstatic. I get to go to Worlds. I have won an absurd amount of money already. Everything else was just kind of icing, but I had like an hour and a half to kill until the Digimon finals was over. So me and Jackson were just like pacing throughout the entire hall, just trying to find anything to do.
You had to wait. Oh no.
So, but it was like very surreal. The fact that I was able to like be in that position, and like I was trying to do my best to not think about how much money I was playing for.
Oh yeah. I mean, like that's the other thing too. Like you don't even know how much money you're playing for, right? Like
Yeah.
you kind of have like an idea, but then you're like, it could be this much, maybe it's this. Yeah, I 100% understand.
But the jitters didn't really get to me much. It was more just like, oh, I get to meet a bunch of people. I got to talk to Gavin. I talked to I don't think I talked to Luffy TCG, but I talked to a few other relatively popular people, and I still want to meet a bunch more. So I was just like kind of relaxing, getting to enjoy myself. And once I got to the stage, everything got really fast.
Oh, I'm sure.
There were cameras set up. I had lines. I had to like orchestrate everything, and I kind of had to like make sure I wasn't too jittery on camera because this game's that everyone's watching, obviously.
Yeah.
But I was just trying to calm myself as much as possible and just laugh it off because the absurdity of everything is just the best part about it.
That is true. That is true. I know. I probably missed it, but did you go on stage afterwards and get?
Oh yeah. So after the game, we ended up going on stage and they gave us trophies and I got some amazing signed cards.
Oh right, yeah.
Those were gorgeous.
Yeah.
I will never get rid of those in this lifetime. And it was super awesome to meet people that have created this game, have been part of One Piece for decades. And that's an honor I'll never forget. And I think I'll have more privileges in that regard in Worlds too, which would be super awesome.
Yeah, well, that's in like what under 2 weeks at this point. What's your expectations? I think you said you're going to keep playing it now. I'm not going to ask you to divulge your secrets or what changes you're making from that. But what's your expectations for that weekend?
So I think the default for most people is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They did end up winning with their respective decks. It's kind of hard to get off them. So I expect the 2 European finalists to probably still play Sakazuki. And I expect Jackson to play Sakazuki. I imagine the Latin American winner and the Oceania winner to still play Luffy, Purple Luffy that they ended up winning with. The only real hiccup is just the Asian areas, Japan, China, in that area, because there's, I believe, 8 total people, or it might be 10. And I just don't know anything they're doing because they all qualified with OPO6.
Yeah.
So they could still play Kata because they qualified with Kata, but nerf a bunch of their cards. The most recent winner might still play Uta. We're not entirely sure. But I'm just going to probably expect them to just play Sakazuki for the most part. Sakazuki and Kata is most of the range, so I'm probably expecting that. So I've been doing a lot of Purple Luffy matchups for the 2 people that have won with it. And Sakazuki is the scariest part, but now that I'm a known quantity, I imagine people will test against my list a little bit more. And they'll be having a lot of fun trying to figure out, 1, how to beat it, but also 2, how to play my deck. So
that's kind of like the thing. There is enough nuance in One Piece that you'll give 2 people the same deck and they'll play it differently and get different results. So I think some card games can't capture that as well. And in One Piece, you definitely can capture that.
100%. So I'm really excited to play against a lot of these guys. I've seen a lot of their content from the videos that they've posted, or not posted, but been recorded on. So I think I have a decent shot of topping, but whenever you view other content online from these championships, you think that they're making a lot of misplays. So you think relatively worse than average, but I made countless misplays when I was on stream. And I think everyone ends up doing it in hindsight. So it's just kind of these guys are making very educated decisions every single turn. And I disagree slightly with a lot of their plays, but I think their plays end up winning them a lot of games. So I'm probably not understanding their plays as well as I should, which is either terrifying or good for me. So let's just go in with the best attitude possible.
Brian and I watched enough Twitch chat that they're like, what are they doing? And the reveal on the other side of why they're doing it and it makes sense is always worth it. But then sometimes that's not true and they're like, oh, they're just flubbing it. And you have to cast and not be like, I mean, they're really throwing it, and you have to be like, that's an interesting decision they've made to do this instead of this clearly better play. Like,
that seems like the hardest part of doing a play-by-play commentary.
Yes.
Because I would want to just be like, I don't agree with this decision. This decision's probably wrong.
Yeah.
But that's like the worst probably thing you could say.
Yeah. Not in my vocabulary most of the time.
Yeah, it's interesting. Oh, that I was late on it, but yeah, there's some pictures.
Oh yeah.
There's the pictures. That's obviously you.
Yeah, oh, that's me hitting Dog for the umpteenth time in the finals.
Oh yeah, I think people went crazy. I think people started barking. If I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
They started barking, which was interesting.
I mean, Eggman has a Holly emote now, which is
I do.
Sick.
Yeah.
Very appropriate. There's you. I think that's after, right? That's post.
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh yeah, that must be after.
Yeah, I would think I was on stage beforehand.
Okay.
Those trophies were surprisingly heavy. I was just like, oh, there's some heft to this one.
Some good.
Like I ran out of hand space trying to like hug people and hold trophies and cards, but
hey, that's
a first world problem.
That's a one piece funds right there. That's cool. Very cool. Well, I guess that also reminds me of. I'm still dying. Sorry. Oh God, I guess I am dying more.
Oh no. Someone get this man Kane's stat.
Oh God. Anyway, so our sponsor. All right. For the degenerates, you can divulge into the pricing, I guess. How much you?
For the people that care about the money part.
I mean, people are actually pretty curious. There's only one of ones for obviously the Kaido and stuff, and there's only so many for that. But whatever you're comfortable with, you can talk about.
Okay. But it's gonna be fun stuff to talk about. So the winter promos sold for way more than I thought they would. My second set, I think I sold for like over 30K.
Oh,
God. And I had 2 of those, so like it adds up really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the sheet, I think a lot of people have been selling for like 25K.
Yeah, it is. Well, which one?
The uncut sheet, top 16 got an uncut sheet, which was gorgeous, of all the OPO5 secret alt arts. Or the manga rares, the secrets, and the alt arts.
You drove that home, right?
What's up?
You drove that home, right? Did you drive home from?
I drove home with that. I had a flight planned and everything, and then I had another first world problem of doing too well in a tournament where I had to cancel my flight and join on a car.
Yeah, the reason I ask is every time I see that, I'm like, how is someone flying this home? Like, what is how is this making it? If you're not local or if you didn't drive, I'm very curious how the other people creatively got those home.
Yeah, I don't know how people dealt with it either, but I'll ask Jackson about it because then he had to go to the other side of the country.
In the Northeast, yeah.
So the sheet was gorgeous. I was really torn on keeping it, but that amount of money is just like way too hard to say no to.
And how much was it? You said
25.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right from people.
Sorry, 25,000.
I've been like trying to. Oh man.
You don't have that yet? Or you still don't have that? I'll take it for $25. I mean.
Yeah. I'll give you 26.
Unfortunate.
Are we having a bidding war right now? And a bunch of the random top player promos have been able to sell pretty quickly, just for like $1,000 or $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then the championship like celebration packs, they're like worth like $100 or so, but like it adds up real quick.
Because you're like showered with those, right? You got like a couple dozen.
Yeah, I think I had like 20 of the championship packs. Like I wanted to make it rain, but like I also don't want to damage the cards.
Yeah.
That's your timestamp, just you going like
do a freeze frame. Yeah, that one's yours.
And then the Grail himself is the Kaido.
Yeah.
There haven't been many sales, and I think a lot of the people are trying to keep the sale or amount discreet. But the Kaido is obscenely beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking it's like minimum. I think one sold like in the range of $100,000 recently, which is like lower than expected. I think during the tournament, a lot of people expected to sell for closer to 200. But a lot of those prices end up being rumors. So the interest has like waned a little bit over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But I ended up grading mine just because like might as well, right? If not having a buyer for raw that I'm particularly happy about, might as well raise the value a bit. And a 10 is gorgeous, and somehow the gold label looks better than the black label on this thing.
It fits it better, I think. Even though a black label is a black label.
Yeah.
But,
I know. But the winner card is still great. Graded 10 winner card with populations 4 is just like so otherworldly. I believe mine was the only one submitted to Beckett at the time I submitted mine. So I wish,
dude, I'm just looking at it. It says 9.5 for centering. There is no chance this is uncentered. They just did it on purpose, man.
They want you to pay for another go of it.
Yeah, something.
I might just crack it open and try again. You never know.
Yeah, I want another one. Trust me.
Just get another one.
Yeah,
it's the 5 of 4.
Just risk it all. I believe a third place one got a black label, which was gorgeous, and I'm super jealous if whoever got that.
Have I seen that? I don't think I've seen that, but I'm sure it looks really good.
It's probably in the middle of Instagram somewhere.
Yeah,
but I'm not entirely sure what that's going to be going for. If I find the right buyer, I'll probably move it, but if not, I'll probably just hold on. I think this game has a lot of longevity, and unless Bandai does something bad, I'm gonna knock on wood real quick.
Even if they blow up the game, man, I think One Piece. So this is like more of a long-winded discussion, but I think one of the biggest reasons why One Piece is so popular and why it's like blowing up is because One Piece is a huge IP and a lot of fans, right? But there was nothing for One Piece fans to pour their money into in order to like either get something back or to collect, right? When you really think about it. Sure, there's like pop stuff, sure there's like mangas and stuff like that, but like tangible things, like a card game is probably one of the best things that could have happened for a One Piece collector.
And this, I could be wrong, this is like literally their only card game they've ever had for One Piece, right?
No, there was one before, but not with original art, not with stuff like that they're doing right now with Bandai.
Yeah,
because Bandai has so much.
How long ago was it? I'm just gonna type in One Piece card game.
2000s, I would say.
So like, regardless, like a 20-year drought of one of the largest IPs in the world, based out of Japan, to not have a card game is a little unheard of. I would say, like most. Like if you go to Japan, like most things have like a card game, or like Union Arena is kind of bridging the gap for that for a lot of those card games. So I think you're right. Just to have, because they have like the video games, but none of them are like Fighter Z, where they really took off as like a competitive game or anything else. Like there's like an okay app for that, but it's not like Dokkan Battle. I think those ones are more popular. So.
I think just as an IP for like merchandise or just like something that you can just buy and collect, there wasn't anything that's like super direct. And also I think like obviously there's a lot of Oda fans, right? And there's a lot of like lore running Oda fans where they just love the art and the references to on the cards. So that's my guess. And why Yonas is now going to pay for Korean barbecue somewhere
every time we go out. Yes,
I go getting Korean barbecue sometime soon. Let me know when you're in Arizona. I'm down.
We can get Korean barbecue in Asia.
Is that blasphemy? Like in Japan?
I think that's blasphemy. It's
fine.
Korea for Korean barbecue, right?
We can do ramen.
We can do ramen. Okay, all right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out. But yeah, I think that makes. I haven't really thought of it like that, but I think you're right. But yeah, again, like One Piece has such a history, and I will say my least favorite thing about Fusion World right now is because it's all very standard art. One Piece has been a blessing with different art styles, and I know it takes a lot of effort to like get around like just like the anime screenshots that some people get, but like they've from the get go, they set all these different art styles and they keep incorporating it, and I think that keeps the game fresh, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it is super nice. Yeah, but
I also like the callbacks to the manga because a lot of them, the art ends up being very similar to like old clips from the manga. I think like the alt art in Newgate from OPO2 is just a clip from him when we first see him, which is gorgeous. I like the random stuff that happens there. But maybe the first of a Kaido is just like so novel enough that like it's going to be iconic even after this game dies. So
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so.
Talking about dying,
but hopefully it doesn't die anytime soon.
Well, that's my time here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who's gonna last longer, One Piece or Brian? Find out.
No,
I could probably tell you. We are at the hour mark. So, any other things you guys want to talk about?
Real quick, because I know people are going to be asking about it. What are your first thoughts about OP06? Because that's the next meta that we're getting, and it's NL's unless the I guess okay. First thoughts of OP06, and then maybe like any restriction guesses that you might have.
Okay.
With that, so
OP06, I think Moria is like dominates the entire format by a lot. I think it kind of not the leader. Leader's still good, but the character Moria is kind of oppressive, especially after Starter Deck 13 comes out. I think 3 decks are kind of just like fundamentally only exist because of that card, between Sakazuki, Moria, and then the new Black Yellow Luffy.
Yeah.
Everything else is kind of just centered around black and yellow cards, which is like fine because I played only black and yellow, but
you have and you played black in set 2 when it wasn't super good, so you earned your rights.
Yeah, I earned my stripes for sure.
Yes,
but I do think there needs to be a little bit more balance in terms of a bunch of different decks. But yeah, I think just like an OP06, play a black or a yellow deck, and I think you'll do very well between Corona, Black or Sakazuki, Moria, Anel, green, yellow, Yamato. I mean, they're all kind of the same, but the core is just like good yellow and black cards. As for the bannings, Moria is oppressive. I think that card needs to go.
Yeah.
I know that they probably won't ban it because OP06 hasn't even come out in North America.
Yeah.
It's really hard to ban a card before the set's even come out.
Sure.
I think weirdly enough, yellow cards need to go.
But which ones?
That's the good question. So a lot of people have talked about Amaru, 200 millivolts Amaru, because it's such an efficient card. And I'm not entirely sure if that's a good enough card to ban. I think it's a very good card. I think it's comparable to Houndblaze, and I think that card is also very obnoxious. But you can either ban Tenmon, which is like a card that people just don't like playing against, and it makes control decks a little bit better. I think you can just ban a Null Leader. I think that card is so unbelievably broken. It just like changes the entire dynamic of the game. Where like when you're playing against any other random deck, it's all about attacking your opponent, getting rid of their resources. All of a sudden, Anel just changes the entire script, and when they print better and better yellow cards, Anel gets more and more oppressive. So
I can't believe they printed Reject and Onami from the next set. Those cards are
dumb card.
Ridiculous.
So that's one worry I have, is that Anel is going to get better and better, and I think that needs to be stopped eventually. As for black cards, Rebecca's a fine ban, Lucci's a fine ban. I think those all kind of slightly target the black decks, but not enough to make them bad, which is kind of a worry. So I don't know if we're going to do an entire overhaul where we're banning multiple cards from black, or we're just going to like hit 8-drop Moria and hope the decks get kind of mediocre. I think you can also ban 4-drop Lucci, because I think a lot of aggro decks between like Law, Zoro, even like green decks just like feel like they can't win anymore just because 4-drop Lucci is an oppressive card. So I think hitting that card would also help the balance a ton. So I think those are a lot of my targets as to what I would ban. But I'm looking forward to what they'll do, because the second that happens, I'm back to bring up some spice. So
which is always a fun time. After a ban list is always a fun time.
Do you guys have any things that you might be expecting to be banned?
You first, Brian.
Well, dang.
Yeah, that's right. Let me
go with the safe answer. We've talked about this a couple times live, and just I think when we were casting and stuff like that. But the consensus for me is that I don't think it's going to be any more than 2 to 3 cards. A lot, like, sure, there's going to be a ban list or there's going to be a restriction list, but I really don't think that Bandai is going to be shaking things up like that. I think they are a little apprehensive after, having the Nami ban and stuff like that. And, it's they have to kind of tread carefully. And the way to do that is to limit the things that you would ban or limit. So sticking to 2 or 3 cards and see what happens afterwards is probably going to be the safe way to do it. My thing, my biased opinion is Rebecca, Houndblaze, and probably something in yellow as well. And that's pretty much it. You know, that's it. It's just I think it's more of and I've talked about this many times. When you look at ban lists, there's a few things you have to look at for main two for me is design space and as well as you know,
Customer satisfaction.
yes,
Yeah.
design space and genericness, right, and how things in the future will look like. And the thing is, the second thing is player satisfaction. So like, is it a poor experience when you play the game if you play against these cards, right? Is it breaking the game? Is it feeling? Do you feel bad because of it, right? And sometimes Rebecca does feel bad because you have to go against that over and over again. Get 8-drop Gecko Moria makes that feel worse. Houndblaze is literally one of the best ways to get rid of something in Sakazuki. It'll take it down a peg. And like literally anything in yellow, if you just pick one of the offensive or one of the defensive things that you can do, just pick it and I'm sure it'll be fine. It could be 10-drop bomb, could be Amaro, could be 7 cost an L. So restrict that. I don't know. I mean, just pick one. Just pick one. Yeah.
Clip only that last one. Post it on Twitter. See how it goes.
I take it back. I take it back. What about you, Hayden?
I think they're in a, I don't know. Yellow I think needs to get hit a little bit more, and that's maybe more from customer satisfaction for it. I think beige can go to like 1 or 0, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And
however,
because it doesn't like benefit in a single archetype, right? It is just generically good for every yellow deck, right?
I agree. I think it's more of like, I don't know. It's like if you ran 100 games, how bad is beige really, right? How often will you hit beige for it to feel bad?
It will probably still win me 15 to 20% of my games just by existing, I feel like.
Yeah, and I feel like if you can answer the question of like, yeah, it still feels pretty bad after about 100 games and the variance is still pretty bad, then yeah, you should probably get rid of it.
Well, Yonas probably played 100 games this week, so is beige bad in your mind, Yonas?
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Ban beige, but like, I think it's like the space that beige like takes up is just like very easy to replace with like a random brulee, or like OPO7 has a Zoro, which kind of functions like a beige. Where it's just like you can ban beige and it's functionally like banning this really good 2K that stops things, but like that's a huge part of Yellow's design space where like you use their security or life or whatever you want to call it to kind of help save yourself for a little bit. And I think beige is probably the most pushed one, but I don't think banning that over any other like absurd trigger is going to help that much.
Yeah. And I think that's fine too. I don't think they're ever going to do this, but I do like the idea of erratas. They did it in Fusion or Masters quite a bit. They didn't really do it in Digimon. We'll see if they really do them here. But I think most of the problem cards are cards that probably even during develop, they're like, all right, is this card a card that we restrict to? Like, obviously, Rob Lucci restricted to Rob Lucci, Rebecca restricted to Rebecca, or, you know, like the Dressrosa, you know, Cypher Pool stuff. Moria restricted to a Thriller Bark, right? I think the power creep for these kind of cards are more so that, you know, they're good for their archetype, and they're like, let's give it to everyone, see how it is. And because of that, it's been a little bit too generic power for what it is. So yeah, I don't know if they'll restrict Gecko Moria to Thriller Bark only. If they want to get rid of it, that's probably the way they do it, because they want it to still be bought and printed, but they don't want it to just be generic. And I don't know. Yellow Onami's kind of silly because that card's like good wherever if it's in your hand, on the board, or in your life. I don't know. It's a fundamental issue with triggers because they're going to keep printing them, and one day we will get to the fated 50 card trigger deck, and it's going to be an abomination.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close to it. I've seen some videos on it. Yeah, Nami's actually pretty like bad. Like,
yeah, it's
when I first would have guessed, I was like, why did they print that? It's
yeah, why did they make this silly Thunderbolt that also I can counter with, and also I have some time and it's a 3K, so like it's so easy just to put 2 more Dawn and threaten something. Like it's
literally playable. That's
it's one of the most playable cards ever printed right now.
It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. But so in general, yeah, I think yellow and black are the issues. We'll see if they make anything sweeping. 200 million volts in Yamato is a really dumb card because it's a plus 5k essentially in that deck. Because sometimes you don't have ways to put, use Dawn, so be able to use Dawn to plus something and then use those 2 Dawn underneath something else. It's really dumb. So I don't know. I just hope that it's something that we get in OP06, that we have something that's new. And even if it ends up being bad, I'm okay with testing new stuff and a newer meta compared to, again, just seeing, starting off where Japan left off 2 months ago kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not 2, like a month ago. Maybe that's the better. So I have opinions.
Really?
Yes. Just a few.
Okay.
Do you think they'll ever ban Sakazuki leader?
It depends how the future sets look.
Okay.
Because I think with the introduction into Sakazuki, it just became One Piece became a slightly different game in my opinion. Like the conversation kind of became where it was simpler to understand matchups because there were matchups, and now it's more of like, can your deck beat Sakazuki most of the time, and after that, how are your other matchups look like? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I think because that conversation is like that, it might have some constitution to be banned.
Yeah.
Right.
I would also say that leaders are probably the most erodable character or cards in the game because they're always present and it's very clear to dictate, hey, this card doesn't do this anymore. Like give one of its effect to Dawn ×1, right? Or something like that. Like that was, and we're starting to see like all these effects that leaders get for free without Dawn investment mean that you can play on curve and get a silly effect at times, which is pretty strong.
I think with Sakazuki though, it's just like more of a there's just 2 really good generic effects on it.
Yeah.
And 2 very solid colors that go together.
Yes.
And because of that, it's just like, where else is that? Like, what other dual color leader is like that when you really think about it?
Yeah, just law, right? In my mind.
Yeah, but
but
like
even
law
red and green
less...
don't even max,
Yeah,
but like
just
law has deck building restrictions where you need to like build your deck in a very low curve kind of way. Sakazuki, you just put whatever you want in there. So
yeah, so like if we had like, let's say LPO8, more generic and really good removal cards in black and blue, and things that help you go through the deck. I mean, I don't know. It might have to be revisited. I'm interested to see how OP06 turns out. I think, have you guys kept up with any of the competitive events or like how OP06 looks like in Japan or other places?
Guess.
Very well. Yeah.
Is it just Sakazuki?
Moria is pretty popular there.
Oh,
Sakazuki's there. I think Moria is the better, but Japan also generally likes to play the newer stuff more. And United States generally likes to win more
and stick
with
to the stuff that they
with
know.
the older stuff. So I'm going to be interested to see how much Sakazuki's actually doing when it gets out compared to how it was in Asia.
Me too. I think we need another set. I think we need another set to kind of reevaluate and see if it's still like an issue, and then just kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Makes sense.
Do you think anything's going to be unrestricted, Yonas?
Oh, I mean, you can unban Moby Dick all you want. I don't think it changes anything.
Damn.
Dang it.
But I think Kabachi's a bit too good.
Damn it. No.
Not the Those are like the exact wrong answers, both. 2 for 2 for Brian.
Damn it.
Cut that from the cast.
It's fine. It's fine. I like White.
He's a boat apologist.
That's fine.
The Kabachi version of that deck was sick.
Yeah. I mean, that's you can't release it from the chains. They can't release Nami from the chains, unfortunately.
Yeah. Whitebeard has been released from his restrictions of being banned, and Kabaji's just chilling. He knows he's on like the 6th level of Impel Down, never to leave.
Yeah. Unfortunate, dude. I got nothing else.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
You guys got anything else?
No, here, I'm going to do the cheesy thing just to prove people, though, that I'm wearing the same spot.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
This is edited. We're editing a second. We're editing the second video. That's why. Okay.
Totally worth it, right?
Cringe. All right, everyone. That is
I can't hear Brian anymore. End it.
And we're gonna go ahead and end it there. If you have anything in the comments, let us know. we will go ahead and see you. Check out the playlist, and if you're an audio listener, hey, thanks. I appreciate that. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Thank you, Yonas.